So I am actually going to go right into the talk tonight, because even though in the newsletter, who read the newsletter that went out yesterday? Okay, a few people. I put some page numbers in there, and I thought, okay, I'm going to go with this chunk, but there was so much as I was going through that today, I'm actually doing only a portion of those pages, because there is so much in here. Every 10 pages, it's just so incredibly rich. And so, Jet, are you familiar with this book, The Alchemist? Okay, fantastic. So we are about halfway through, and when we left everybody last week, then we were talking about how it was actually the beginning of alchemy. And so the whole point of alchemy was that you strip away, all of the stuff just strips away, and eventually what we're left with is the pure essence of being. And so it's kind of like life. We strip away all the rules, the expectations, the thought about the roles and the expectations and everything that we think we are. We get rid of all of that, and at the very core, at the very center, all we're left with is pure being. Now, the other thing that came up was the language of the world. And so this is the thing that interconnects everyone and everything. And as the boy is going along his journey, he is learning about this language of the world with everyone and everything that he meets. We also learned that there is power and peace in living in the present moment, of actually tuning into what is right in front of us and what is at hand, rather than worrying about the past or about the future. And then we also learned, or were reminded, that everyone's path is their own. No one can travel our journey for us. We can't do it for someone else. And just as our path is our own, it's not always ours to try and understand why someone else is traveling a certain path, because their path is theirs, right? So when we left off, the caravan had just arrived at the oasis, and oh my gosh, people were rejoicing, right? So they arrived at the oasis, but right now in this section of the book, we're introduced finally to the alchemist. The times rush past, and so do the caravans, thought the alchemist, as he watched the hundreds of people and animals arriving at the oasis. People were shouting at the new arrivals, dust obscured the desert sun, and the children of the oasis were bursting with excitement at the arrival of strangers. The alchemist saw the tribal chiefs greet the leader of the caravan and converse with him at length. But none of that mattered to the alchemist. He had already seen many people come and go, and the desert remained as it was. He had seen kings and beggars walking the desert sands. The dunes were constantly changed by the wind, yet these were the same sands he had known since he was a child. He always enjoyed seeing the happiness that the travelers experienced when, after weeks of yellow sand and blue sky, they first saw the green of the date palms. Maybe God created the desert so that man could appreciate the date trees, he thought. He decided to concentrate on more practical matters. He knew that in the caravan there was a man to whom he was to teach some of his secrets. The omens had told him so. He didn't know the man yet, but his practiced eye would recognize him when he appeared. He hoped that it would be someone as capable as his previous apprentice. I don't know why these things have to be transmitted by word of mouth, he thought. It wasn't exactly that they were secrets. God revealed his secrets easily to all his creatures. He had only one explanation for this fact. Things have to be transmitted this way because they were made up from the pure life. And this kind of life cannot be captured in pictures or words. Because people become fascinated with pictures and words and wind up forgetting the language of the world. And so in this section, there are two nuggets that stand out for me, at least this time, the 20th time or something that I've read this book. And so this time, the first one is when he's thinking about how many people he's seen come and go through the desert, how many changes, all the time that has passed, and yet the one constant, no matter what's going on around it, the one constant that never changes is the desert itself. And this speaks directly to who we are. No matter what's going on in our life, no matter what age we are, no matter who we're in relationship with, no matter what job we have, where we live, blah, 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 no matter what we're thinking, the thing that we are at our core, that pure essence of being, that never changes. That is always steadfast and unwavering. And then the other thing that really stood out for me this time is when he was thinking about why do we pass on these traditions and these teachings by, orally? Because all this stuff is available for everyone. It's not like it's a secret. God revealed his secrets easily to all creatures. And that's the same thing for us, right? And so this is part of our work. All the lessons, all of the teachings, all of the opportunities that are available for us to live our most amazing, engaging, fulfilling life, all of that is available to us every single moment of every single day. It's not a secret, but it's up to us to pay attention, open up, and tune in so that we can further embrace and embody all of that wisdom. So everyone's marveling at the oasis. The boy is noticing that there's 300 wells, there's 50,000 date trees, there's innumerable colored tents. The Englishman actually says it's like 1,001 nights. It's so super cool, right? Men are asking about the war, which is starting to escalate, and the women are going around the tents and checking out all of the beautiful cloths and the semi-precious stones. And then at some point, the caravan leader gathers everyone and says, okay, here are the rules and traditions of the oasis. It's important that you obey them and observe them. And then he also says, the war is escalating and we don't know how long it's going to go on for, so everybody has to hand over their weapons. Why? Because oases are a refuge. Oases are a place of neutrality. So even during times of war, all of the fighting happens in the desert, but in the oasis, especially where women and children are living, there is no fighting. So everyone's handing over their weapons, and while this is happening, the boy is considering all of his adventures that he's had so far, everything that has gotten him to the point where he is right now on his journey, everything that has gotten him to the point of realizing his personal legend. And so as he's thinking about this, he's thinking about his treasure. And the closer he got to the realization of his dream, the more difficult things became. It seemed as if what the old king had called beginner's luck was no longer functioning. In pursuit of the dream, he was being constantly subjected to tests of his persistence and courage, so he could not be hasty nor impatient. If he pushed forward impulsively, he would fail to see the signs and omens left by God along his path. God placed them along my path. He has surprised himself with that thought. Until then, he had considered the omens to be things of this world, like eating or sleeping, or like seeking love or finding a job. He had never thought of them in terms of a language used by God to indicate what he should do. Don't be impatient, he repeated to himself. It's like the camel driver said, eat when it's time to eat, and move along when it's time to move along. And so as he's thinking about this, and as he's realizing that it's really important not to get caught up in all of the stuff that is going on, but to continue paying attention and to be patient, because things unfold in the time that they're supposed to unfold, this is a reminder for us as well, right? Like, we definitely need to take our steps and we need to do the action things that we need to do on our journey, but there's also stuff that we have no idea how it's going to happen or when it's going to happen. And so ours isn't to force it or will it to happen. Ours is to continue doing our part and having faith and trusting that whatever it is and whenever it is that it's supposed to unfold, it's going to do so, and it will always be for our greatest and highest good. And so the point of this is, don't miss out on the journey because you're so focused on the path. Which kind of takes us back to the story about the drops of oil on the spoon earlier on in the book, right? Where he's walking along in this incredible palace, but he's focusing so much on the drops of oil that he misses all of the grandeur and all of the splendor and all of the amazing things around him. And then when he goes back a second time so he can take in all of that stuff, he actually loses his path, so to speak, because he loses the drops of oil because he's not paying attention to where he's going with these drops of oil. The whole point is for us to pay attention to the drops of oil while also being aware of all this stuff that's going on. It's kind of a back and forth and feet in both worlds kind of thing, right? So everyone is connecting with the people at the oasis. The boy is having an opportunity to tell stories to people. He has an opportunity to learn more about the rules and traditions of the oasis. And he also finds out that as the Englishman asks him, like, hey, let's go and find the alchemist for ourselves, he finds out that they're not supposed to talk to any women dressed in black, because these women are married, and that's it. You're not supposed to converse with them. And so they're standing at this place where they're thinking, okay, this is where a lot of people gather, a lot of people come, we're going to be able to ask a lot of people, but so many women in black are coming, and the Englishman is getting frustrated, and the boy's kind of thinking, well, at some point someone's going to come by. And so they stand there and they keep doing this, and then the boy realizes, alchemist. I had never heard of alchemists before, the boy said. Maybe no one here has either. The Englishman's eyes lit up. That's it! Maybe no one here knows what an alchemist is. Find out who it is who cures the people's illnesses. And so they start asking a better question so that they can get a better answer, right? Have you ever tried to look something up in Google or now maybe AI, and you're like asking, you're giving prompts, whatever, and the answers that are coming back, you're like, no. But then you're like, okay, wait, maybe I'll phrase it this way. And all of a sudden, boom, the answers that you need, there they are. So here they are. They're asking a better question so that they can actually get the answer that they want. But still, there's a lot of people they can't talk to. There's one man that they talk to who ends up basically telling them, you don't belong here. Allah is the one that, is the one that does everything. Don't try and figure out what happens here in the oasis. Just go home when the caravan leaves, right? But then, as they're talking, even though the boy is thinking, oh my gosh, the Englishman is probably getting so frustrated because we're not getting any information, it's almost like for the Englishman, for every person that doesn't give them the information, it means they're one step closer to getting the information that they need. And then, just as they're standing there, all of a sudden, a young woman approached who was not dressed in black. She had a vessel on her shoulder, and her head was covered by a veil. But her face was uncovered. The boy approached her to ask about the alchemist. At that moment, it seemed to him that time stood still, and the soul of the world surged within him. When he looked into her eyes, he saw that her lips were poised between a laugh and silence. He learned the most important part of the language that all the world spoke, the language that everyone on earth was capable of understanding in their heart. It was love. Something older than humanity, more ancient than the desert, something that exerted the same force whenever two pairs of eyes met as had theirs here at the well. She smiled, and that was certainly an omen, the omen he had been awaiting without even knowing he was for all his life, the omen he had sought to find with his sheep and in his books, in the crystals, and in the silence of the desert. It was the pure language of the world. It required no explanation, just as the universe needs none as it travels through endless time. What the boy felt at that moment was that he was in the presence of the only woman in his life, and that, with no need for words, she recognized the same thing. He was more certain of it than anything in the world. He had been told by his parents and grandparents that he must fall in love and really know a person before becoming committed. But maybe people who felt that way had never learned the universal language. Because when you know that language, it's easy to understand that someone in the world awaits you, whether it's in the middle of the desert or in some great city. And when two such people encounter each other and their eyes meet, the past and the future become unimportant. There is only that moment and the incredible certainty that everything under the sun has been written by one hand only. It is the hand that evokes love and creates a twin soul for every person in the world. Without such love, one's dreams would have no meaning. Maktub, the boy thought. And so as the boy is falling in love, as his heart is completely opening up, the Englishman is like, come on, ask her, does she know where the alchemist is? And so they introduce each other, and then eventually the girl points the way and says, the alchemist is that way. So the Englishman goes off to meet the alchemist, and he ends up having a conversation with him. And when he relays it to the boy, he says that the alchemist asked him, has he ever tried turning lead into gold? And the Englishman said no, and the alchemist is, well, like, then you better try. And the boy thinks, oh my God, that must be such a disappointment. That's all the Englishman has been trying to do for years and years and years and years, right? But has he? No. What he's been doing is he has been studying, he has been reading, he has been theorizing, but he hasn't really put any of it into practice. And now, when he meets the person who believes is his mentor, gives him permission to go and try, all of a sudden, it's like, oh my God, that's what I need to do. I need to actually try. I need to actually do it. I need to stop studying about it and actually go and do it. So he decides, that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to start right now. And so the Englishman is super excited, and the next day, the boy goes back to the well, he meets Fatima, and he tells her that he loves her, and he says that he wants to marry her. And so she feels the same way, and they end up meeting at the well for about 15 minutes a day for about a month. They get to know each other, they become friends. He tells her about all of his adventures, about his dream, about the realizing of the personal legend. And then one day, as they're standing there, she says, I have been waiting for you here at this oasis for a long time. I have forgotten about my past, about my traditions, and the way in which men of the desert expect women to behave. Ever since I was a child, I dreamed that the desert would bring me a wonderful present. Now my present has arrived, and it's you. The boy wanted to take her hand, but Fatima's hands held to the handles of her jug. You have told me about your dreams, about the old king and your treasure, and you've told me about omens. So now I fear nothing because it was those omens that brought you to me. And I am a part of your dream, a part of your personal legend, as you call it. That's why I want you to continue toward your goal. If you have to wait until the war is over, then wait. But if you have to go before then, go on in pursuit of your dream. The dunes are changed by the wind, but the desert never changes. That's the way it will be with our love for each other. Maktub, she said, if I am really a part of your dream, you'll come back one day. The boy was sad as he left that day. He thought of all the married shepherds he had known. They had a difficult time convincing their wives what they had to do to go off into distant fields. Love required them to stay with the people they loved. He told Fatima that at their next meeting. The desert takes our men from us, and they don't always return, she said. We know that, and we are used to it. Those who don't return become a part of the clouds, a part of the animals that hide in the ravines, and the water that comes from the earth. They become a part of everything. They become the soul of the world. Some do come back. I'm a desert woman, and I'm proud of that. I want my husband to wander as free as the wind that shapes the dunes, and if I have to, I will accept the fact that he has become a part of the clouds and the animals and the water in the desert. And so this is where I want to stop this week, because we take a bit of a turn immediately after this. And so right here, what we see immediately as these two beautiful young beings fall in love, it's not that they are simply falling in love, it's that they recognize the love they are in each other. And because there's only this one thing, this one love, then she feels totally confident and so trusting to just let that love that is reflected in the boy just go off and be fulfilled. Who is she to stop it? And then he now has the faith and the trust that she will be there when he comes back after realizing his personal legend. And so, Da, da, da. So just as the Englishman received permission from the alchemist to go and do his thing, the boy receives permission from Fatima to go and do his thing. But here's the thing. Do we really need permission? And so the title of my talk today is No Permission Required. Because if we are following our true nature, if we are living and realizing our personal legend, there is no one and nothing outside of us who can stop us. There is no one or nothing outside of us that can make us do something that goes against the realization of that personal legend or fulfilling that dream. And so if we look back at the 3 key points that came from this passage, this expert, our true nature, the love we are, that boundless, limitless creativity that is forever moving and grooving in, through, around, and as everyone and everything, it is steadfast, it is unwavering, no matter what. And the second thing is that as we get closer to our dreams, as we get closer to realizing our personal legend, living our purpose, fulfilling our purpose, whatever that may be, sometimes it can seem like life is getting harder and harder and the challenges are coming fast and furious. But here's the thing. Every single moment we are born anew. Every single moment we are a completely different person than we were a minute ago. But as we recognize who and what we are, as we embrace our wholeness, then we are more equipped in every single now moment to face and navigate all of those challenges that are coming that aren't there to stop us. They're there to allow us to open up more fully to the truth of who and what we are. And then the third thing is that the only permission we truly need to live our truth is the permission we give ourselves. Or do we? So like I said, the Englishman looked for permission from the alchemist. The boy received permission from Fatima. In the end, only permission that truly matters is the permission we give ourselves to fully embody and express as the infinite creativity, resilience, and love we truly are. And yet, because we, no one else, create our reality, ultimately, there's no permission required. Thank you, and so it is.